Hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome, 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 and thanks for stopping by. I am TJ Randolph, and welcome to Mosaic with TJ Randolph. Okay, I got to give my shout out to my firstborn nephew, Rhyan Spunk Adams. That is him on the saxophone. We were listening to Shoreline. And yeah, for my jazz lovers, you can find him on Spotify. You can find him on Apple Music. Let me say a couple of shout outs here. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And hello, Big Bad Bull. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so I got to get through the announcements, okay? Again, shout out to my husband who's traveling the highways and the byways, and to all those truckers out there on the road. Be safe. I want to give a special shout out to Micki-Redd Creates, because this young lady has been working with me to with my thumbnails, um, my social media branding, because it's all over here. It's all over my head. So I want to give a shout out to her and thank her for helping me out. Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. Hi there, Eugene. And good evening, my yacht. Good evening. Good evening. So, as we continue on, I want to thank y'all. Okay, it's a celebration. Yes, it is. I want to thank y'all for giving me an early Christmas gift because I reached my 1,000 subscribers this week. I think it was over the weekend. So I want to thank you. I'm so appreciative, so appreciative. And also, as you come in, please hit the like button. I am really appreciative that you all have, shared, you subscribed, and you think that I have something to offer and that you're getting something out of it. And I'm so truly grateful. So this is my second milestone. My first milestone was when I get my first 100. And now this is my second milestone, my first 1,000. So I thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's move on here. What else I got? I got to take some notes. I'm wearing my festive red. Okay. Again, in honor and in celebration of my subs. Okay, this is cocktails and conversations, right? What am I drinking tonight? I am drinking what my son-in-law has dubbed the spiked elf. Okay. This is a concoction that he made over the past weekend with or when we did our tree trimming, the family tree trimming with the kids and the grands. So my daughter and her husband, they hosted. So he made this spiked punch that he has dubbed the spiked elf. I put the ingredients in the description if y'all want to do some holiday cheer giving. Okay, you see I have my cinnamon stick in here. It is delicious. So again, the description and the ingredients is in the description. Okay, listen. Hopefully y'all are done with y'all Christmas shopping because it ain't nice out there. I did mine in October. I'm just saying, I did mine in October, okay? I'm going to ask y'all if y'all out there in these streets, whether you're getting your last minute groceries, your last minute gifts, decorations, pack your patience. Why do you ask? Well, I was at Dollar Tree today just picking up a few things. Line wrapped around in the back. One cashier. One cashier. Line down the way. And so, of course, people are getting upset. I'm like, but here's the thing, though. I don't know if you all have noticed it. People don't want to work. I see hiring signs all over the place. Nobody wants to work. So people get mad because it's not enough cashiers, but ain't nobody working. Nobody wants to work. So I'm going to ask you to pack your patience because everybody's short staffed these days. Everybody. Again, nobody wants to work. So pack your patience. Listen, I'm excited. I'm excited for today's guest, but I'm excited about tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm hosting a women's panel of some incredible women, different age groups, different backgrounds. Why? You saw the thumbnail for tomorrow. We're discussing all things girlfriends. We're discussing all things girlfriend, love, marriage, sex in the city. We're discussing it all. All things, we're going to put it out. We're going to unpack it. So for my Sex in the City girls, be sure you bring your cosmopolitan cocktail, your appletini, your Sex on the Beach cocktails, whatever. We talking about it all. We talking about in the exhale. We even talking about the Golden Girls, okay? Sex in the City, the New Harlem. Shout out to my guests, Dana and Lauren Melissa, because I had no idea what it was about, but I binged on it, so I'm up to speed. We're talking about girlfriends. We're talking about it all. Living single. Yeah. So tomorrow we're going to have this panel. So bring your cocktails. Thank you. This is my winter hair. Thank you. So those are the announcements. Now I'm very excited to bring up my guest. I met her on Shannon Rawls' channel, and she was saucy then, honey, bringing much to it and putting it down. So I'm going to bring her to the stage. Let's welcome the real Dana. Hi there. You're
I
on mute,
don't mute
babe.
myself.
Okay.
You can hear me clear? I'm good.
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you so much for agreeing to be my guest.
Yeah. I have my cocktail.
What are you drinking tonight? What is that?
Champagne. I usually like to get the how you pronounce it? Verve, Clico, but they didn't have it in a small bottle because I only wanted a small one because I'm gonna get the big one for New Year's. So this is some champagne AJ de Marguerite, but it tastes good.
Is it dry or what is what? I'm
It's
not a champagne
It's
connoisseur.
not dry, but it's not sweet, so it's just right. So it's a nice little sip. I wish I had like a splash of juice,
Uh-huh.
but I don't. But it doesn't matter.
You can have it for tomorrow.
That's going to be a good show tomorrow. I
I'm
don't need
excited
to be
about it.
drinking because I drank a whole bottle of Bellini Saturday night messing around with Lauren. So
Okay, let me
Lauren
tell
done
you.
turned me into an alcoholic.
I was just gonna bring that up. You were getting saucy, honey. I said, wait a minute. Did you say that? you, said, you said yes.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
mean, it was fun. That was really fun Saturday. It started on my show, went over to her show, and
mm-hmm.
it was fun. I kind of don't remember some of the stuff I was saying, and I don't want to remember. It's just out there. So, and everybody go tune in and listen to it.
It like it got me like, wait a minute, did she just say? Yeah. And she was no F's given. She was letting y'all have it. So go check it out. It was her show was good because I caught the last part of your show, and then
Okay.
when you all went over to
Well,
Lauren and
Lauren.
Lucky. But it
Yeah.
was, it was so funny because it was really like girlfriends either sitting around at their house or at the club chopping it up. It was really like that. It was a
Yeah, and
vibe.
that's the vibe I think that we wanted to have. More so on Lauren's channel because we had LAR on my channel because we have to have a guy playing it in there, just to mix it up a little. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's I haven't had that feeling of girlfriends in a minute. So I like it kind of brought back memories. Like I think it's important to have female friendships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's so funny that I don't want to. I'm kind of getting ahead, but I met you on one of the lives that Shannon Rawls did,
Mhm.
and I think and I'm like, oh yeah, she's spitting to him. She ain't playing with him. She's not, she ain't pulling no punches. She don't care. I think I even heard, yeah, is it New Jersey?
Oh, yeah, I'm from New Jersey and I live in New Jersey. Yeah.
I'm
So I'm
like, I
from
think I heard the accent like you was. I'm like, okay, she ain't playing with
oh.
him.
I don't people say we have an accent, but I don't think we do. It's just
You
certain
do.
things we say it's a little bit different, but I mean it's what it is. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but I consider Oklahoma City my home because
Oh,
we moved to Oklahoma when I was in middle school, and that's where I went to middle school, high school, and college. So I consider Oklahoma my home.
oh, okay. So you're Midwest.
Yeah, it's funny because I often joke because I went to high school and college with Kevin Samuels.
Really?
Hmm. Yeah,
Let me get listen to this.
we'll drink to that.
So y'all knew each other.
Oh yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Hmm.
All right.
I think the last time I saw him is when I moved back because I live in the DFW area. So I was in the military moving around, and in 2012, I moved to the DFW because I didn't want to live in Oklahoma, but I wanted to be closer to my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I saw the last time I saw him may have been an OU function at in 2013. So
Okay.
yes. Hmm. I think yeah, I think I pledged my sorority before he pledged his fraternity. So yeah, I saw him on the yard. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
How do I sound? Is my sound okay? My audio?
It sounds a little far away. What do y'all say in the chat?
What about now?
Say again.
What about now? Is it better now?
Mm-mm.
You like no.
It went lower actually.
It did.
Hmm.
A minute. Now, testing, testing,
Yes.
testing.
Yes,
Better?
that's good.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
Lucky says you're glowing.
You know what I did? Because it's wintertime and I get pale in the winter. So
Mhm.
I just wear lip gloss, not makeup. I have to learn how to put makeup on. And what I did, I took my makeup lipstick and just put a little bit on my cheek, just so I
Mhm.
won't look too pale. So maybe that's what it is. But thank you, Lucky. Yeah, I just put a little
Yes.
lipstick rouge on the cheeks because I don't like looking pale. Mm-mm-mm.
Yes. Okay, so the gentleman, I guess, okay, no, I'm sorry. Nay Wills asked what the topic is. Okay, Nay, for those of you who've come to my channel as a result of being subscribers to Dana's channel, what I like to do, I'm a new YouTuber. I just started in May. And what I just started doing a couple of months ago is having Monday night cocktails and conversations. It's my way to kind of get to know YouTubers big and small, just kind of like an interview, but just kind of not really an interview and just kind of chat and see where it goes. I have some questions, but then we can just kind of let the conversation flow. And we're doing it while sipping cocktails. So this tonight, like I said, I'm having the spiked elf, and I put the ingredients in the description. So, Dana, tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel.
Okay, so born and raised in New Jersey, and I kind of don't go too much into my personal because I think you shitting on YouTube.
Understand?
But I have two grown kids and four grandkids by my daughter. Um, and they're down south. They're so cute. And so I get to hop in and play and then leave, which is like the best part. But and then YouTube, I started YouTube probably 4 years ago, 3 or 4
Mm-hmm.
years ago, about going on, yeah, 4 years ago. And that was on the Star Report, and he had Star in the morning show. And it was me, two other people, and of course Star. And I don't know if people should be familiar with Star. He's a big time radio host in New York City.
Mm.
Um, and it was called Star in the Morning. His name was Troy Terrain. And then he was on radio for years. I wasn't on the radio with him. So, but after he retired from radio, he just, hopped on YouTube and started his own platform. And that was over 5 years ago. And then he took a break and I met him and I said, listen, I want to do something with you on YouTube. And then he started a morning show and then I started on YouTube from there. And I was so green and I didn't know nothing about algorithm, nothing about
I don't.
content creation. It's so. But I just wanted to do something different because I was in corporate for 20 years,
Okay.
and I actually left corporate in 2019 to be a full time massage therapist. And I'm a massage therapist, and to have to start my own business.
Mm-hmm.
So the YouTube thing was just something new that I wanted to do and just see what happens and to have fun. And I kind of treated it as a hobby. But now I'm treating it as a business, and I should have kind of treated it as a business in the beginning because I probably would have had 100K by now. But you can't get too caught up in that. So I'm treating it like a business, and I'm starting to see money, and
Okay.
and I'm just pushing my YouTube to grow along with my own business in the real world. So you have the YouTube world, and then I have my massage therapy business in the real world. So yeah,
Awesome. So you see, Nay Will said that's how she found you is through Star.
yeah.
So, I am completely green, as you say. So was Star, you said, was it a morning show? Was it like Joe Buttons? I mean, I really don't. Can you
I mean,
kind of?
to me, we did a show Star in the Morning for one whole year,
Hmm.
and it was crazy. And I'm so glad those videos are privatized. Um, y'all would never see those videos
I know that's right.
unless if he were to ever release those videos, I'd be like, I want to check. So, but no,
Yeah.
it was just very raw, and it was me and number nine. We were always going at it. The language we used, you think I'm spicy on Shannon's, like, no, it was just on a whole nother level. But it was,
Was you cussing people out?
yeah, yes.
Okay.
But I mean, but it was work at the same time. So it's like we were entertaining. I got up 5 in the morning because we went from 6 to 9, and then
Hmm.
I would log off and I would go to my corporate job. So, but it was a job. We talked about current events. You had to have your notes. You had to come prepared because he comes from radio. He's a professional.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so that's where it all started, and you kind of stars. Yes, he's the original hater. Yeah, so she know. Yes, and that's where it started. I think I kind of like people kind of put me in a box of because of the way I would talk, or the things that we talked about. So I was very sassy. However, now that I have my own channel, and this is the thing, when I started my own channel, it didn't start off being what it is now. You don't know what you want your brand to be. You just
Right.
keep trying. I just kept trying different things. I actually had a show I used to call it Cocktails with Dana, something that's like that. And I had lunch break with Dana. It was so many different things I was just throwing out there until you finally can find your groove and when something stick. And then a little over a year ago, I met Judge Joe Brown, and we created a good rapport with each other. And I had him on my show a couple of times. And then I just kept bugging him to come on every week. And I was like, listen, we're just going to do this show every week. And we built up a good friendship, but also a good business relationship as well. So he's on my show, and it's mainly politics and current
Okay.
events.
Okay.
And
Well,
so,
I was going to ask you, that was one of my questions. I was going to ask you, was the judge your relative or something? Because, like an uncle, because I was going to ask somebody, I had to ask.
yeah, I mean, I met him on Twitter, and that's the thing. Like, you meet so many different people, particularly on YouTube, and whether it's YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter. I met him on Twitter, and I just DM'd him, was like, "Hey, would you come on my show?" I didn't think he would reply, and he did, and and I kind of kept in touch. So yeah, so I mean, it's all about networking, and that's one of the great things about YouTube and social media. It is a great networking tool. How it's however you want to use it. So a lot of people use it for me, for negative or just for nonsense. But I mean,
Hmm.
if you're making money, you're going to give people what they want, so you can keep making money. So it's the new cable. YouTube is the new cable.
I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah.
So you said that at first you were starting just doing a whole bunch of things to see what stuck. When did you find your niche? When do you think?
I would probably this year.
Okay.
So this was like, so my own channel, and I should have started my own channel when I was doing Star in the Morning. So it's like, hey, come, I could promote for people to come to my channel after the morning show or during lunch or whatever. And I didn't know. So when he ended the morning show because he went back on TV for a bit, and then that's when I started my YouTube channel. And that was like 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And I would really say this year was really when I started finding my niche.
Okay.
And it takes time. So, and I consider my channel very small because I have 30K subs. And for me, it's small because my goal, I want that platinum plaque that everybody got on their wall in the background. 'Cause that's when you reach 100K.
Mm.
So I'm still new to it. I'm not seasoned like a O'Shea. Before Kevin Samuels, he had 50K, so he was way bigger. So it's a lot of these people that on YouTube, they've been doing this for years. So I still consider myself a newbie.
Well, with that said, let me, because and that's kind of what we're talking about. Nay Mills, is because the conversation kind of goes where the conversation goes, because I have my notes and I have my talking points, but we kind of want to let the conversation flow. So okay, you answer that question, how long you've been doing it and what inspired you to do it. So we've gotten to that. Listen, since you've been a YouTuber, have you encountered any beefs? And
Hmm.
if so, how did you handle that?
Girl, I don't cussed out so many people on YouTube. Uh,
And she smacks her lips.
yes, honey, yes. I'm ghetto. Like I tell people, yes, I'm ghetto. Like I'm professional, like I don't and it's I'm professional. Like I don't first of all, I don't talk about and Star taught me this. Do not talk about your personal life as far as your family because though they're civilians. They don't have nothing to do with this YouTube or social media. And then they could sue you. So
Mm,
I don't talk about my kids too much. I just say, yes, I have a daughter, she has children. Um, not even my parents. I don't talk about them too much. I have a brother, whatever. But so yeah, like I'm ghetto, I'm smart, I'm classy and stuff, all that other stuff. But yeah, I done cussed out so many people. And so when I started my channel, it was basically a majority of all the listeners was from Star in the Morning. And then
Okay.
I started on YouTube. So when I had so when the morning show ended, I kind of had time to explore who else was on YouTube, like what's going on YouTube. Because the morning show took majority of my time, and then I had real life. And then I came across O'Shea channel, and that was like that whole man is fit. I'm like, well, what is this? And I kind of like hopped on his, like I donate and be in the comment section. And then people probably recognize my name from Star. And when
Mm-hmm.
he would let people come up, I think I don't know how I got on O'Shea platform when he would have shows, but I'll hop on and I'll be arguing with, you could say, niggas um up there. And so you can't, and then people go back and they'll do a clip on it or whatever. Um, yeah, so it was several people. I wouldn't say beefs. I would just say I had to cuss out and cuss them out. Yes, I did. Because I make sure that you're not going to win this argument. Like, you're not going to cuss me out and try to put me in my place, not on YouTube. Like, I'm going to have the last word and I'm going to be dominant.
Okay. I'm going to dominate.
Well,
Trust and believe.
it's like having a fist fight, and you want to win. It's just a verbal fight, and I'm just trying to win the verbal fight. And I am from New Jersey, yes, and we do curse. So one thing about
Mhm.
tri-state, we're good with cussing people out.
It's a skill
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean,
tri-state area.
we love the F word, we love the F word, we love the MF word, we love the C word. Like, see you next Tuesday. We just love, because you, and then I'm right, and I'm in a tri-state part of New Jersey, so we have New York, we have all the boroughs. They're
Okay.
good with their mouth too. So up north we do this. Down south they don't talk. They just put out their guns and get shooting. We just run our
Correct.
mouth up here. Yes.
Correct.
So we do a lot of
Especially
this.
here in Texas, everybody,
Yeah, I don't like, I talk shit on YouTube, but I would never argue with a man in real life in public. Like, no. And
mm-mm.
when I go down south, I don't do all that up north attitude. No, absolutely not. Mm-mm.
So, what advice would you give, YouTubers like myself and new YouTubers as it relates to, because well, before you answer that, I understand what you're saying because I started my channel in May of this year.
Okay.
I started it in May, in the midst of me, in the midst of me applying for retirement, for the work for the federal government, but also I had a situation, where I considered taking my life.
Really?
Hmm. In May, I did, and as a result of that, I went to counseling and started going to therapy and stuff like that. And one of the things they want you to do is kind of write your feelings and journal and all that kind of stuff. Well, my handwriting is horrible, so I thought I would just do it kind of as a video journal for myself. And I started a channel, and basically much of the content initially was private and something that maybe I could share with my granddaughter down the line. But then, um, I just started going to other people's channels, and I said, maybe what I'm dealing with, other people, I can help other people to let them know, okay, you can work through it. Because the thing about it is, when I shared, what I was dealing with my friends and my boss before I decided to apply for retirement, they said I had no idea. You look
Mm.
like you have it all together. You look like and that's the point. You
This was
never
this
know.
year. This and that's like coming out of COVID. A lot of people, and it's the funny thing, because I'm a massage therapist. I'm
Hmm.
touching people. A lot of people coming in, they have not just physicals. A lot of people are stressed. Um,
Hmm.
we're not miracle workers, and that's one of the things I love about my profession. We help people in it could be the smallest thing, decreasing the stress, whatever, muscles, whatever. But But I realize a lot of people, you don't know, you're right, you don't know what somebody is going through, no matter how much money they make or how much money they don't have, no matter what walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a shame that now we're starting to hear a lot about mental health, this, mental health, that. A lot of corporations are starting to have mental days for employees so that they can have a day off. And this is something that I feel as though our society should have been treating. And COVID kind of COVID during the lockdown, people dying before it was a vaccine. That really took a toll on a lot of people, and I think we don't realize, even the people who did not get sick or did not lose anybody. I don't think we all realize we all had some type of mental imbalance dealing
Mm-hmm.
with the whole lockdown and quarantine.
Well, it's interesting because actually, I was in the military and I was actually, diagnosed with a condition in 2007 when I got out.
Hmm.
But because with medication and therapy, I've always been able to maintain, I've always been a very high performer, you know, um, type A personality, if you will, very dominant in my profession, very
Usually, you and
so,
different people are.
yeah. So, I was always able to deal with it. And even if I had to have medication adjusted or whatever, but it was something, and it may have been exactly, the culmination of dealing with just my regular life and mental health, and then being secluded because I have several friends who are licensed, either licensed professional counselors or psychologists or psychiatrists. And they've said that during this initial time, their patients increase exponentially.
Hmm.
And most of them were men.
Hmm.
Most of them were men, and they said to me that the thing about it is, normally what they would tell patients, and again, something that my doctor would tell me, don't be in the house, don't isolate yourself, do this. So everything that they would tell you to do, even including exercises in ways, you couldn't do because you had to be inside.
Right. And and that's what I'm saying. What you could have been, like you said, you were diagnosed with something in 2007.
Hmm.
So when we go into the lockdown, those problems don't go away for anything. It makes it worse, right? If
Absolutely,
depending
absolutely.
on your situation, I would say for me, and I'm just kind of sticking on the
Sure.
lockdown because what did we hear in the news? Domestic violence cases went up, suicide cases were going up. A lot of things were happening, and it wasn't just because we were on lockdown. It was a lot of things that people were going through before, and that just made it worse. So luckily
Right.
for me, I got stuck in North Carolina, and that's where my kids are at because New Jersey, New York was just
Right. I remember. Yes, I
that was
remember.
horrible. And I was visiting because it was my one of my grandkids' birthdays. And that's when my job was like, okay, we're shutting down for 2 weeks. And we thought it was going to blow over. This was in February. And then it was like, no, they laid off everybody because that's when New York shut everything down. And I'll stay down there. They literally shut off the state lines. You couldn't leave you couldn't go into Virginia. You couldn't go into
Hmm.
New Jersey, even if I was, and then I flew down. So I didn't have my car. Um, but because I was in North Carolina and I'm from New Jersey, from the city, it helped me because there's so much space down in the South. Now I
True.
didn't utilize it because I was making banana bread. I done gained that COVID 20 heavy. I done gained so much weight. I was eating good around the
Me
grandbaby,
too.
stuff like that. And my mom and everyone is down there. So, and nobody that I know passed away from it. But financially, I took a hit, like a lot of other people did. But yeah, but so just bringing it forward, just coming out of it and going back into
Hmm.
this profession, massage therapy, because we definitely couldn't touch people.
Right.
So receipt, and I was surprised that when we were able to open back up, a lot of people they needed a massage. They just wanted someone to touch them to decrease. Like that's when I started realizing, okay, it's something that's going on in society that never was addressed, should have been addressed, and now it's like we're playing catch up when it comes to mental health, and that is something very serious. So,
It,
but I
it,
mean,
it
that's brave
definitely is.
to even admit that.
Well, I had to realize, and again, in this platform, in this space, some people say why, but I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's so interesting because definitely people who can be depressed. But again, like you said, I was already diagnosed. Again, having been in the military, especially after 9/11, come on now. So,
Yeah.
um, so having to deal with that was one thing, but I knew what really got to me is my daughter was pregnant at the time last year.
Mhm.
Um, and it was so bananas because everything was great. But
In your life.
again, in my life, but
Oh.
I still couldn't shake it. I will say, and I think and not to be a Debbie Downer, but again, I have to give homage and pay respect to my dear friend Beth, because literally this time last year, my daughter was pregnant. Me and my daughter have a tradition that we've had for the past 24 years. We go to the Nutcracker Ballet.
In New York
Well,
City?
huh?
Where?
No, wherever we go,
Okay.
wherever we're living. So
Okay.
because being in the military, I wanted to give her something that she could always look forward to no matter where we lived.
Mhm.
So we always would go. So last year we couldn't go to the one here, and they had it indoors. Well, they had it, you had to stream it or whatever.
Mhm.
And my friend, who was also my next door neighbor, came over and took pictures of us. It was on the 23rd of December, took pictures of us as we're seeing it. And it was such a wonderful experience. Do you know the next morning she was gone?
Who? Your
My
friend?
friend.
She passed away?
Oh, overnight that night. She had been, so again, and it was the heaviness. So when I'm going bringing forward, because she and her family were the first to welcome me into the neighborhood when I bought this house.
Mhm.
Would watch my dog. There's not anything in this house that she hasn't touched, whether gifts or whatever. Even, she did the bridal bouquets for my wedding, the bridal bouquets for my daughter's wedding. So it's the heaviness. And then again, seeing her home, literally next door to me. So I think it was a whole bunch of things.
I mean, you lost a friend. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't, and you don't have to say how she passed away, but I think, well, just going back to your initial question before we dived into this, when you was like, what advice would I give you as a new YouTuber? And I'm talking to you right now. It's two things. I think it'd be great if you were to make your content around whether it's mental health, and that's very broad, because you could talk about grieving or suicide. It's so much you could do with that, but then at the same time, a lot of people want to do the total opposite of why they came to something to make them feel better, right? A
Hmm.
distraction. So
Yeah.
I would say either you're going to focus on the mental health, because you can have so much many different people as guests, link up with other YouTubers that talk about that, whether other Black women that talk about the, what you call it, the strong Black woman syndrome. So it's so many things you could do with that, but at the same, or you could just do something else, right? So
Hmm.
that's my advice that I would give you. It's like, either do something what drove you to here, which
Hmm.
was the mental health, or do the total opposite. What the total opposite is, that's something that you have to find out, and that could be fun as well. But I just think too, one of the things that I don't like about social media and YouTube, like you're saying, your friend passed away. I think people in society have to get used to death and not look at it as something negative, because we're
You're
all,
right. It's a part of life. It is.
it's a part of, and we're all going to die.
Hmm.
But what's important is, did you honor the people when they were here?
Yes. And,
And then
and you're,
that,
you're absolutely right. Yes.
and so it's like, build on that, because then that should be, for anything, especially people who are religious, particularly the Muslim religion, death is like an honor. That's
Mhm.
what you look towards. It's a beautiful thing. And I had to, me myself, I was always scared of dying, right? And so what I realized, like, why would I be scared of something that's I cannot hide from it?
Right.
But embrace it and think of the beauty out of it. And then I look, what are people going to say about me when I'm not here? It's that.
And to your point, that is part of it, because again, when I consider, Beth passing, and again my own, I think it was the culmination of that. And so I asked myself, how could I not only help myself but maybe help others? So part of what I do, I share some of my story a bit, about the things that I encountered, even as it relates to relationships, you
Yeah,
know.
everybody talk about relationships on YouTube. That shit is so annoying.
Yeah,
It's
but
so
I don't talk about,
annoying.
I don't go into, certain, I mean, I try not to
No,
do
one thing I would say
salacious
about
stuff.
you, TJ, is, and I said this, I think the last time I was on Lauren's show, or the first time me and Lauren did the thing on my show, I
Hmm.
was like, you're the voice of reason. And it's like, girl, sometimes I don't want to be hearing a voice of reason because I know I'm doing wrong and it feels good to do wrong. Yes. But you're
It
that
does.
Yes, but you bring it down to reality. You're the voice of reason. You give people options of solutions, and you do it with a smile. And you're not judging. You do it very classy, but it's very genuine. So you're the voice of reason.
Because I
Maybe
done
change
done it
that as
all,
a show
honey.
title, honey. The voice of reason.
I'm not gonna tell you what it all, but I done it all. Okay. Now I'm not gonna tell it all, but I've done it all. So I can be the voice of reason now. And that's why I try to get, because again, 20s,
No,
30s,
I think,
even
but
40s.
I would, yeah,
Huh?
but I would even say sometimes that's just in people to just, even if you in your 20s and partying or whatever, running wild, sometimes you still have that thing about you. That's part of your character always, is just being a voice of reason, and no matter what the situation is in. So whether you in a club, whatever, is you could still be that. I think you were always that person who were the voice of reason.
It's
So
funny that you say that, because, and listen up, youngins, especially females. You talking about the voice of reason. I'm the one that when my girls went to the club and they met this guy, I'm like, no, 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 no. You're not going off with him. We came together, we leaving together.
okay, you were that friend.
I was that friend. Yes. We came together, we're leaving together. I'm gonna get your behind home. What you choose to do when you get home, that's up to you. But we came together,
I
we
be like,
leaving
that's all
together.
right. Well, he gonna have to come with me, or you gonna have to walk with us to the hotel, honey, because I'm about to get it on. It's not plenty of times, but it's been
Right.
maybe two or three times. I guess we came together, and I did not leave together. I left with somebody else. But then my friend said, "Don't do that no more." I was like, "I know."
See, yeah, you that friend. But he's so, girl,
But I
he's
had a
fun.
ball. I had a ball that night. But I think too. But then it's like, I mean, but then if something would have happened, at least they had a trail. They knew him, or they knew their friends. So if I came up missing, y'all know who the guy is, and blah 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 blah. But still, they was like, "Don't do that again. Don't do it again." Like, all
And
right.
even more so now, ladies, listen, I mean, seriously, take pictures of license plates, all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying. Well, thank you for that advice. So again, and to that point with my channel, I share a little bit of my stuff, but also me and my daughter, we do a podcast on Saturdays.
I
Uh,
remember you was mentioning that. Talk about that. Yeah.
and it's funny because I raised my daughter primarily as a single mother.
Hmm.
And we talk about from her perspective, and she said, now mom, are you sure you want me to come on there? Because I can't lie. I'm gonna
How
be
old
honest.
is
I'm
your
like, be
daughter?
honest. Huh?
How old is your daughter?
She's 27,
Okay,
and
my daughter's 28.
yeah,
They like
she's
to
27.
they like
Yeah.
to they like to talk about their feelings. They want everybody to know how they feel.
Well, yes, and I tell you, it's so funny, but we've talked about the things that she saw from a child's perspective as it relates to seeing her mother date,
Hmm.
as it relates to seeing my interaction with her father,
Hmm.
she's talked about that, and we've shared that because, again, for the moms out there and even the fathers, we know how things look from our lens, but we don't know how our children see it, you
True.
know.
Which is
And
why I would
so,
never invite my daughter on YouTube. We are not having a conversation on YouTube. We had it off YouTube.
yes.
That's fine.
And
I
we have had it off YouTube, but some of the things, because before we go into it, I talk with, is it okay with you? Because I think what's one of the things that's important, and some people have actually said that seeing the openness between me and my daughter has inspired them or prompted them to have conversations with their mothers that they were kind of afraid to have.
I think yeah, that's great. That's good. I mean, and that works. And again, with your personality, you could do that in the public with your daughter, right? And I mean, we all have to find like our niche, and part of finding
Mhm.
that niche is part of who you are as an individual. That's not
Right.
me. Like I don't talk about, and that's how I was brought up. You don't talk about your
Yeah.
business out in public, and that's not really a good thing because and that's one thing I do admire about the millennials and especially the Gen Zs. They're not trying to hide nothing, and I get it because a lot of times when you hide stuff, you're actually harming yourself and others. So I do respect that about their generation, but and it works for some people. And I work on Saturday, so I was never able to catch your show. I have to go back. I have to remind myself to go back and watch the replay. But I remember when you first mentioned that when I first was introduced to you on Shannon, and I'm like, that's a great idea. I mean, I think that's a nice something different, that you're
Mhm.
bringing to YouTube. And so let me give you this other piece of advice. I going forward, I look at your YouTube as a business. Okay, how can I profit off this? It's
Okay.
at the and it that's not being superficial or nothing like that. If you look at it as a business, how can I make money? The way you approach it would be totally different. And you're retired, so you do have time,
Mhm.
depending on what you're doing in your real life. But when you look at these men content creators, they it's a business to them. They will
Yeah.
they don't say it. If they could not
Some
make
do.
some, yeah, no, but it's okay and it's acceptable for a man to say
Right.
that. But if the men that are out here could not make money, if Kevin Samuels could not make money from YouTube, he would not do it. The same with O'Shea. When you look, why would and I learned that from Star. And Star said, like, I'm not, Star is not, for instance, he said he would never go on Clubhouse. He was like, I'm not talking for free. Yeah, why would I talk for free? And I caught that from him when I was on the morning
Hmm.
show. We would do cash apps. Hey, you could, I would tell people, hey, if you like to donate, donate. I was making good money with people just donating. So the bottom line is all about the money. It's all about capitalism, and that's how you should treat it, but at your own pace.
And that's a good question because who said I had a time? So it's funny that you say that because I started this as a hobby, right?
Hi, Coco.
Yeah, because again, I'm married, and then that's one of the things too we'll talk about tomorrow. Because now I've been married for 2 years, we've been together for a little over three. I just can't up and do things without consulting him.
Okay.
So when I said I wanted to do this, normally I'll just do it. But again, I'm a married woman, and and he says it's a hobby, right? I said yes. So I was telling, but he's really excited about it. But one thing I noticed, and I shared that with Courtney, I think I shared it with Lucky Marie and even Lauren Melissa. If Mr. Randolph starts to see me get stressed out over this, because there's sometimes he's seen me kind of, irritated or whatever. He said, "This is a hobby, right?"
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're retired. You put your time in. Your finances, your life in real life is straight. There are a lot of people who depend. This is a lot of people careers on YouTube, content creators,
Hmm.
and that's why I don't. I don't like to have beef with content creators. Now, in the beginning, I'll go on somebody panel and we cussing each other back and forth. For instance, like I know one time I was on our shade panel and me and Taz, that's Nyla. Nyla has a channel. That's her husband. We were arguing and we was
Okay.
cussing each other out. But when the show is over, the show is over. I would never go and say anything negative about him because he's a content creator. This is how we eat. And I'm not going to step on how somebody else eat. And that's how I know the difference between a content creator and somebody on YouTube just talking.
Okay. I like that. Okay. I see what you're
So
saying.
it's like if you want to be on YouTube and you want to just talk, that's your business. Yeah. If you want to be on YouTube and you want to treat it as a business, and it could be, even if it's a hobby, that's still a business. You can still treat it as a business. Because
Yes.
your first of all, your marriage comes first,
Yeah,
your
I
house.
want to stay married.
Yeah. I mean, and then too, if I'm not in a relationship,
Right.
but I have a friend and it's certain things he be like, no. Like
You're Mr. Big.
yeah, him. But like just something small to where like breast cancer, I always get a mammogram and I take a picture because you can't video camera unless you get permission from the hospital. So I take a picture and I will post it on Instagram. And I was going to do it again this year. He was like, no, I can see too much of your boob. I said, it's in the machine and I have like a big rose over. He was like, that's too much skin. I didn't post it. I mean, I didn't have to listen to him, but it's a respect thing or whatever. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So you have a whole husband. That's totally, if he say shut that shit down, yes, you got shut down. Or if he say don't talk about this, but you could talk about, yes. But no matter what your content is or how you want to brand yourself, even if it's a hobby, even if it's part-time, still treat it as a business.
And I'm probably gonna get with you on another time offline because again, I don't even know where to be as far as treating it as a business because I've been a government worker.
No. When I say like you have 1,000 subscribers, but are you monetized?
I just got the email to do that. Yes.
Okay. But that's what I'm saying. Treat it as a business saying, what is your goal? Your goal is to be monetized. Okay, what I got to do to be monetized? You need 1,000 subs and you need 4,000 hours or whatever. So let me push out content to get that, and then what is your next step? Okay, I want to get 5,000 in 6 months. You see what I'm saying? Like
Right.
strategically set it up to hit goals. And that's what I mean, treat it as a business. And then it's like, okay, what do you want to talk about? But that sometimes takes time as well. I remember Oprah saying that she was like, what is a brand? You don't have a brand. A brand, you don't just sit and think for a couple of days, oh, this is my brand. You just have to let it, what do you call it? Metamorphosize or something?
Materialize.
Materialize, yeah, into something.
Okay, so that's another good point. See, here's the thing: 54, you forget really quickly what you want to say. Dadgummit. Maybe it'll come back to me. Good grief,
honey. Is that what's that? That cinnamon elf drink you drinking?
It's that spiked elf.
Yeah.
It's that spiked elf. Yes, ma'am. And I just got it. So I just got that with you all's help. I received the email that I am eligible for monetization. Okay, listen. Thank y'all. Y'all did that for me. An early Christmas gift. Oh, I remember what I remember because, like I said, a couple of times when Mr. Randolph is home, he says, and he could see that I got off the computer or whatever, and my face might be looking the way it's looking. He said, "This is a hobby, right?" And so when he asked a question, there's a method to the question. Basically, it's a question, but it's a statement reminding me.
Why would you like, honey? Even when I was acting ghetto, cussing people out, like as soon as I log off, I don't think about it.
Yes,
it doesn't bother me. Like what? Like I don't know these people. You're not putting money in my pocket. I'm even on my channel. When people comment, I claps back at the people who comment, and then I'll block them so that you can't get the last word. I be cussing people out. But it is not because I'm in my feelings. It's because I be having time for the bullshit. Like I have time sometimes, and it's like it's like I can't help myself. But then I had to learn, let me stop dealing, and let me pull back because I'm getting bigger now. I can't be really going back and forth.
You say I'm here for it.
Yeah, but it's like once I comment or once we have a back and forth, it blows out into the earth, into the air. Like like, no, I don't carry that with me.
Yes. And so I have to remind myself and to that point, that
And that's
brings me
part of
to
treating it like a business.
yes, absolutely. And that brings me to my next point.
And TJ, I'm
Do
not messing
you
with you
think,
no more, honey, because this champagne kicking in. It's a
huh?
Monday.
What you say?
I said, I'm not messing with you no more. This champagne kicking in. It's a Monday. You
Okay.
and Lauren.
Okay. We won't take just a few more minutes,
No,
50
no,
more
I'm good.
minutes.
I'm good. Go ahead. I
Okay.
have all the time. Go ahead.
So do you think real friendships / relationships can be created as a result of YouTube connections?
Like personal relationships?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So he don't know this, but I already say Star is my mentor, even though he don't like being nobody's mentor. But because he tells me gems. He was like, when we did the morning show, he did tell me, he said, it's going to be hard for you to date. Um,
Mm.
there's two things. You're either going to have to date someone who is exceptional, meaning like he separates you from this, because this is cables, TVs, not real. Or you have to date someone who is a content creator because they understand. He said that. So yeah, and he was spot on. So the thing is, you know, people, it's been a lot of people that's been messy on YouTube. I be hearing about these hookups, but that's people who don't treat it as a business. It's just on YouTube to be running their mouths and whatever. But it is easier to date when you look at celebrities, they date other movie stars because you know that lifestyle, you know
Right.
what's real, you know what's fake. And that's the same when you become popular, I guess, on YouTube. So, and he told me, he was like, you have to date someone, because not saying that it's a whole bunch of men that know me, but if I were to meet a man and then he eventually finds out what I'm doing on YouTube, is he going to switch up? Some men are like,
Mm.
okay, she does that, I don't really care. Mr. Big, I actually met him on Instagram. I went live because he was listening to Star in the Morning. And he was in my DMs and I would never reply. But I didn't pay no mind. But when I went live one day, this was 3 years ago, and he hopped in my live. You can have somebody join in, and
Right.
he fine as hell. I was like, "Oh, honey, who is this?"
Honey.
And I was like, because he had the pepper, salt and pepper beard.
Hey, for real
He's
though.
sexy, and so his audio wasn't working, so he had to drop off. And I hopped in his DM, but then I realized, oh, he was sending me messages, and then we
Like
started
this,
talking.
this is the one that was sending me messages.
Yeah, and we started
Okay.
talking, but it was times when I'm like, okay, is he just dealing with me because he was always a fan of Star and I was on Star? I always question that, and I
Sure.
think it was a very slow process, which I do appreciate. And then it gets real, right? And then that's when I realized, okay, he's Mr. Biggs. I'm not having sex with her. You know what I'm saying? Then it becomes real life. So but if I had dated somebody or if I met someone who was already a content creator, that transition probably would have went more smoother. So yeah,
Hmm.
you can. So going back to your question, sometimes, a lot of times, it's kind of better to date somebody in whatever industry you're in.
Okay.
However, you could date outside of it, but they have to be an exceptional person to understand what you know what I'm
What
saying.
what about friend girls?
What do you mean?
Like, see, it's funny because me, I'm a Gen Xer. So when I would say girlfriends, I meant my homegirl, my girl. But now if you say girlfriend, you got to qualify what you're talking about. So I'm just talking about friendships. Do you think that you are able to establish real friendships with other women as a result of the space?
I could establish business ships.
Okay.
Like I don't know Lauren. Me and Lauren just met.
Okay.
Like, so I'm using Lauren as an example. So I can't say that she's a friend because we don't know each other. But as far as YouTube and being a content creator, I respect her. I like her. we are doing business together because we don't know what we're doing. We're just doing a show, right? Whatever
Mhm.
it may metamorphose into, but that's
Right.
still business. And because she's a content creator and I respect her, we get along. And that's never my intention to be catty. And women could be very catty.
Yes, we
I see,
can.
yeah, there are some women content creators I would in real life, I wouldn't be friends with them. There are women content
Correct.
creators. Yeah, there are women content creators where I know you're full of shit. You're full of shit. What you're talking about, a dude is probably giving you information, but again, it's about money. It's a business, so you want to feed your listeners what they want, so you can
Hmm.
keep making that money. So you can have genuine friendships, but just like with any type of ship, it takes time to build. Me and the judge,
Correct.
he is my friend, but he wasn't my friend a year ago. You have to build that trust. We were doing business, we still doing
Mhm.
business, but to say somebody's your friend, Star is my friend. He wasn't my friend in the beginning. That was business.
And
So
with a friendship, again, any relationship that's like you said off these YouTube streets, it requires an investment on both sides. An
yeah.
investment to the extent of I know you, you know me, to your point, taking time. And the reason why I asked that, because I shared this with my adopted nieces. And I said, I talk about one of my sorority sisters. I'm a Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay.
And I was telling them about a friend, one of my sorors, that we met in the year 2000. And we met, what connected us was the fact that I saw her Delta Sigma Theta keychain in Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And I, stepped to her and talked to her, and she said, "Well, I'm not taking no application for friends right now." Largely because of what you talk about. Women can be catty, so she said she wasn't taking no applications.
But why would she
So,
say that?
because
That was
that's
petty.
that's who she is.
I'm like, bitch,
Um,
can we
no,
curse?
she's not catty, but she just keeping one thou out. So, but what connected us was the Delta Sigma Theta keychain. But
Mm-hmm.
what has kept us connected over the past 21 years is what you're talking about: the build, the trust, the
Yeah.
investment, the time, all of those things. Because when she met me, just because I was a Delta don't mean I was a soror. You can be a Delta and not be a soror. There's a difference.
Okay.
But
Okay. Yeah. Some people don't pledge,
well,
but
and
they
even
don't go through the line pledging thing. And some
right.
people, yeah, it's mhm.
But you know what? I've met some sorors that didn't go through the line thing, but soror is a difference in the mentality in my mind.
Okay.
Meaning, even you, because every pledge process is different. I didn't pledge the way my girl pledged because she pledged in
Okay.
83. I pledged in 89. But it's the sisterhood or the
Okay.
concept of the sisterhood. You can be a Delta and be over there. So
Okay.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So in answer to the question, I think real relationships, real friendships can be fostered. They start on these in these YouTube streets, but what really can cement them is what happens off of these YouTube
Right.
streets.
I mean, even me in my real life, I probably have two people, two females who are still my friends today. However, there were bumps in the road. We were children, childhood friends, and then we just stayed friends throughout the years. They know all the personal stuff, right? And
Yes.
vice versa. But that's only two. And and my father always told me you don't have friends, and I understand what he's right. You don't have friends. You're lucky to say you have one genuine friend,
It's so true.
especially now. I mean, and then too, it's been times where your friends disappoint. They may stab you in the back, and can you rebuild and rekindle? Yeah, if they actually say I messed up. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's always going to be something in the back of my head, not completely trust.
Wondering, are you going to do it again?
Yeah. But I so I really, when it comes to women, I'm not really girly like that. I would never go on a girls trip because I don't know. I just can't do it. I will go to a brunch. I will go to a
Mhm.
function. I'm not going to go on vacation with a bunch of girls. I know how I am as a woman. I don't need four other women being a woman. I just can't. And that's just me, and I can say that about myself. But if
Right.
it's two other females, probably something small. But I'm not really with the girly thingy. And maybe, but also too, I know how women are. I know women are sneaky. I know women could be very manipulative. Um, so that's why I am cautious when it comes to women. I'm cautious with men, but you're cautious for different reasons with different genders.
Right.
So yeah, so it's just certain things I take into account. But again, I don't approach people with disrespect. Now, if you see me cut somebody out, that's because they disrespected me first. I never initially just come in and disrespect people.
Now let me qualify. She didn't say that out the gate. She didn't
Oh,
say that out the gate. So let me qualify that, because if she did say it out the gate, we wouldn't be 21 years strong. So she didn't say that out the gate.
but
We had
just the
started to get to,
overall something.
yeah,
Yeah.
as we were getting to know each other. And it's funny because largely kind of like what you said. She said, I really don't do a lot of women in the sense
Yeah.
of having friends because for many of the reasons you just
I
said.
mean, women like to gossip. I gossip with my friends. So it's like I can't have 10 other friends and we all gossiping because I know what I'm doing with my real friend. Even because I like the person who I consider my friend, like a close friend in real life, we went to high school together. People would come to her with and tell her their business because she gave great advice. She was a good listener. But then she'll run back and tell me. And I'm saying to myself, girl, how is somebody gonna tell you and you telling me? But I'll be listening like word. But then I had to one day, as the older you get, I had to realize, like, wait a minute. If she's talking about them to me, she could probably talk about me to
Me to
somebody
them.
else.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
because we were like this, I was probably that exception. Maybe she spoke to her mother about me. I don't know, but that was always there. And that came when I was older. Like you really have to see it's not what you do to me in my face, it's what you say and do behind my back.
Mm.
And I think women like to reserve that for men, like
Mhm.
cheating. And it's like, no, how about you reserve that for all your little female friends who you call friends and your little girlfriends? You need to start examining what they're saying or doing behind your back. So
It's funny because, in my work, well, before I retired, my boss used to he took one of my phrases. And, I try not to be petty. I'm not saying I can't be, but I try not to be, especially at 54. It's not a good look. But, but I always said, and my saying would be, I will never say anything about you that I won't say to you.
right, exactly. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of
You
people
know,
a lot of people can't say that and be truthful about that. A lot of people can't even do that. So, and then look at the climate that we in. Everybody's on social media. Everybody put their business out on social media. Everybody lies on Facebook, Instagram. They be lying about their life. Like,
yeah.
stop.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
be lying on YouTube like, yo, these content creators, they be lying their ass off. But I would never,
Perpetrate.
I would never I would never go on. I would never try to say, "Oh, they lying to X." That's not my business. But like,
See,
no,
back in the day, we would say perpetrating a fraud.
exactly.
Perpetrating a fraud. Okay.
But that's
What?
what television is, and YouTube
True.
is television, and I
This is
like
true.
it. The
This is
difference
true.
is if you look at it, and that's why I say looking at it as a business. What makes YouTube different from television? The difference is people could communicate with you in real time. If you like, if it was your favorite show, even that's pre-recorded, you have to write and mail in a letter, right? This is what I think about the show. They could go right in that comment section and express their thoughts live as you're watching it. If it's pre-recorded, premiering, or live right now that we're talking, I could see what people are thinking. And
All around the world.
right. And they can send you money cussing you out or praising you. And that's to me, that's what's exciting about YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And being here. And that's what separates YouTube from television. That's why everybody's on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that this has really surprised me, because, oh, I'm backtracking. So you say look at it as a business. So even if I want to look at it, say for instance, as a part-time job, how many hours a week do you invest in this YouTube business as it relates to you?
Starts. He said say to me like, he was like, first of all, you need to move to Atlanta because everybody's here. Everybody goes through Atlanta because I don't have small kids. It's just me. And but he was basically he was the one that said you need to start looking at it as a business. I was like, oh, it's just a hobby, blah 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 blah. But it wasn't until this past summer when I started seeing a growth in the AdSense checks, and I'm like, oh. And then when you look at O'Shea, when I look and see what Kevin did, so mm, so for me, and everybody's lifestyle is different. So like I said, I was in corporate for 20 years. I left corporate to do massage therapy full time, and I was working in New York City. I love the wellness center where it was at. It was membership only. Upscale was nice. Pay was lovely. So I was doing what I wanted to do because I was got sick of corporate, and then the pandemic hit. Um, and so when the pan so and so then you look at it, when you look at money, right? Then it's like, you know what? I really need to start becoming this full-time entrepreneur.
Yes.
This year I realized YouTube is my main source of income now.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
and that's great because it didn't start off that way.
Yeah.
So you kind of see the growth that way. So it's like, okay, when you start, so when you said how many hours you put in something, it's how many hours you can. Like you literally
Mm,
have to look at your lifestyle and your real life, and say, well, how much days or hours can I devote to this? Like you said, it's a hobby for you, and that's great. You can make money. You can make hobby money from this. But it's like with me now, I'm really just starting getting into the habit of paying more attention to my channel and content.
okay.
It's a lot of things that I have not done that I'm starting to do. I have to start being more proficient with uploads which means I got to start pushing out more content, but my content has to be more in real time with current events. So when I'm finished with this, I think I'm gonna record something tonight and I'm gonna upload it tomorrow. But because I'm not used to doing my own uploads, it's always with the judge. It has to get used to being pushed out there in the algorithm. It's about learning the algorithm. And the fact is that you cannot learn the algorithm overnight. So
Right.
I have the time to put into this, but at the same time, I'm trying to build up my practice. So it's whatever time you could put into it for you personally. And if you could put 2 days or 3 days, fine. You just set aside the time for that. Or if it's 4 days out of those 4 hours out of those 2 days, you go at what you could put into it.
Do you edit your own videos or do you just put the whole, I mean, to edit to do clips, or do you just put the whole stream on there?
And that's it. And that's what, and another thing I realized was I hate editing.
Okay. For
Editing
real.
was time consuming. So hiring somebody, you still got it. So you can hire somebody to edit. You got to tell them how you want to edit. You have to send them photos or whatever, and you have to pay them. That's not cheap. So he said, this sweater, yeah, this is a nice sweater. This sweater, I don't know if you guys ever heard. It's an online store called Souk and Sika. So I'm gonna pull it up and put it in the chat.
Please do.
Um,
Yes.
Black owned. This young Black woman, she started her online store during a lockdown, and it just took off.
Mm-hmm.
But she has like different colors in this sweater. So this is my second color, and I want to buy like other colors. So yeah, I love this design. But
I
I'm a
like that art. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, so even like with the editing, if you ever listen to O'Shea, he said it. He has a team now. He has a team. So
Wow.
he really, and this is even with Kevin Senior, was like they put in a lot of hours. So no, I don't subscribe to nothing Kevin Senior says, and that was something personal. And that's some person that happened behind the scenes between me and him that I don't need to talk about it in public. That was from content, and that was before he blew up.
Okay.
But as far as being a content creator in business, you want to talk about marketing superb, content creator
Absolutely.
superb,
Yeah.
yes. But he was in this how many years before? he blew up in 2020. He was doing this for what, 7 years, a little over 7 years prior to that. So, but the amount of time that they put in it. So, okay, like O'Shea, he does uploads and the celebrity junkets, but he has an editing team.
Mm,
So you could pay for top-notch editors because more money is coming in. So I'm on a budget, and
right.
some of the videos that I pay for an editor on Fiverr, that's I probably pay that 75 a week. What is that a month? Like over $500 a month?
300.
I don't
Yes, like 75, 150. That's $300 a month.
right. So from anywhere between $300 to $400, sometimes five, because I may, pay 75 twice during the week or whatever. But and that's just for simple editing. So, and then I'm starting another channel, and that's just for Formula One. So again, so it's just certain things to where it is time consuming, but I'm doing this full time. You're doing it as a hobby, so you could go at your own pace, and you could figure out, okay, this is my channel is going to evolve into something, because that's how I started out. You have to figure out what you want it to evolve into. So
Shout out to Big Bad Bull for the Cash App. Cash App. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I truly do. I truly do. So let's see. We have been talking a little over an hour and a half. I'm enjoy. See, that's the kind of vibe I want. Just to kind of chit chat, and let the conversation kind of take it where it takes it.
yeah,
Oh,
because it's like tomorrow, like you were
mhm.
saying, like tomorrow is like the show, I would say. Like, because it's a topic, it's going to be other content creators on here talking, and that's something I like. I'm trying to copy this. I like your concept
Thank you.
of cocktails and conversations, like getting to what you're doing is networking. You had the lead attorney on here.
Mhm.
What you're doing, and that's very good. You definitely want to network with other content creators, because you never know when you may need them for something. You may need help, you may need advice, or whatever. You may need them to promote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. On another note, and we'll talk about. I told you that I met my husband online, right?
Yeah. On Plenty of Fish.
Yes, I know.
You said both of
Me,
y'all was green to it, so that was cute.
we was green. And check this out.
Oh, I don't. Can I paste?
I
I don't.
don't
Can I?
know.
Did the link go through? Because I know you have to be a moderator sometimes to put a link in the chat.
Oh, for real? Well, then
I don't
let me
know.
know.
Actually, I'll put it in a private here, and then you could just post it.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the website to where I can get the sweaters, and they have other fabulous stuff there too. So yeah, check it out.
I think I'm feeling it. I'm feeling my cocktail.
And I've
I
been, yeah,
know, right?
feeling mine. So
Huh?
I said I've been feeling my cocktail. Okay, so I put it in a private chat, the website, and then you could post it in
Oh,
the
here we go.
in the
Okay, got
chat.
it.
Yeah,
I
and
got
that's
it.
where I got the
Copy.
sweater from.
Okay, putting it in here now. Well, it's funny because slid into his DM. Well, actually, not really, but he had seen my profile, and I guess thought I was cute, but didn't reach out to me. You
I
know,
don't like that.
huh?
I don't like that.
But it kind of goes to what we were talking about, not what we're talking about now, but sometimes ladies we lead with the wrong things.
Hmm.
And I mean, because when I asked him, because he said he had put me as his favorite, I'm like, well, how would I know that you put me in a favorite because you didn't reach out? But he said that he didn't reach out because after reading everything I put in my profile of, I was this, I was an army officer, I was this, and the other, basically dominating. He didn't think that I would be interested in a blue collar worker because he's a truck driver.
But military could be blue collar, especially that damn training y'all go through.
Well, no, because I was an officer.
Oh.
So, again, but it goes to
That's not blue collar.
show, huh?
Office is not really blue collar, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, so it goes to show, we think, because I thought that I was putting something that would be considered a good thing in my profile. And I guess it depends on who was reading it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I thought it would be something to say, hey, this is what I'm about.
I
But
was
he thought
always
about
scared
something
to do
else.
that dating site, and I don't. I had a client of mine, a married couple. They met on that My Life thing. That's a dating site,
Our
right?
Time? Is it Our Time?
My Life, something My Life. Was it?
Are
Is
they
it?
over 50?
No, they're young. They're like in their
Okay.
40s and she's in her 30s. But I think it was something my something, but it was a date. They met on a dating app. And
Mhm.
I've always been scared to do that. But he was like, listen, I was like, yeah, but what if you meet a weirdo? He was like, you can meet a weirdo at the bar. I'm like, that is true. So
And I did meet one. I did meet one, and the situation turned violent, actually. Yeah.
you met him at
Yeah.
a bar?
I met him online, a different
Oh,
dating
okay.
site, but yeah. And the reason why I went to that particular dating site is because a coworker of mine met her husband on that site. So I thought it was Black people meet. So
Okay.
I thought, okay, well, she had a good outcome. Let me try it.
He attacked you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think that like it's a plus that you were in the military because you know how to defend yourself?
Well, yes and no, because we were dating. We dated for about 6 months, but the truth of the
Uh-huh.
matter is, what actually saved me, I mean, because it was toward the end, and me and my daughter did we did a live about that in the lies we tell ourselves, because there were red flags with this individual that I chose to ignore. And
Mm,
even my daughter said that I had become someone that she didn't even recognize, because she
mm,
knows her mother would, cut you off at the knees and just, grow you real, read you one side and down the not
right.
necessarily be disrespectful, but I'm gonna hold my own. But
Yes.
she said that she saw that her mother, that I became something that she didn't recognize, and so toward the end, lo and behold, he was using me. And when I found out that he was using me and wanted him to leave my home and he wouldn't leave, that's when it got physical. And quite frankly, even though, I did stand my ground, but he's a man. You know what I mean?
Right.
So had my brother not been there at the time, I think the situation would have ended very differently.
Wow. Oh,
And I have
TJ,
a
you're
scar on my
having
knee.
stories.
I, and see, that's part of me sharing,
Yeah.
because I have a scar on my knee that will always be there. And it's so funny because I told my husband about it, and he said, knowing you, I can't believe that you would have ever been in that situation, because because I
Strong
am
willed,
a,
or
huh?
would you say you're strong willed?
Very strong will. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm the oldest, in my family. I'm a, single mom primarily. I was in the military. I was an officer in two branches of the military. You can't be no punk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, but again, and we'll talk about that tomorrow too, when a woman wants to be loved,
Yeah. Honey,
we
that
will
that's
make,
that could be a whole separate show.
yeah, I mean, we will make up excuses. Will justify crap when we know good and
You
damn well
don't,
it's not for
yeah.
us.
And I learned about myself this year, even dealing with Mr. Biggs. God, that's like so. I don't know. They even say that, but I didn't. I didn't set boundaries for myself. And I mean, and he's not a bad person, and it was no domestic, nothing,
Sure.
physical. But what I realized about myself this year at my age is I really don't set boundaries. And women, you need to set boundaries. And that's kind of like, it's embarrassing to say that. Like, you never really set, like, okay, the boundary is, yeah, if you hit me, I'm leaving, but not, it don't have to be extreme. You really have to set boundaries in the beginning. And that's why I don't talk about relationships. It just gets on my nerves because a lot of people don't know what they want. Because I was one of them. Like, when what do you really want?
Well, you make a good point, because and again, you say it's embarrassing. That was one of the things too that I dealt with, because I was 50 years old, 50, to be in a domestic violence situation.
Yeah, yeah, I get
50,
I get what you're saying. Yeah, because you
50,
think that it's an age, it's
that you
like
should
an
know
age limit.
better,
Yeah, like you should know better.
and that you can see you should be. But here's the thing, that's what and that's one of the reasons why I share, because there were things that I chose to ignore because way before he put his hands on me, he started degrading me with his words and putting me down and cursing at me, and going back to your boundaries, don't curse at me.
Nay Wills.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? That's a woman, right?
I
Yeah,
think so.
I disagree with that comment. 40 and 50 somethings are guilty of that. Too few men and clock ticking. No, that's not it.
I don't understand the comment.
Or when we was talking about setting boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and like, because like I said, like it was kind of embarrassing to say that I didn't never set boundaries. Um, when I said I didn't set boundaries, I never set boundaries in my 20s. So you're talking about a habit. So it's not that my clock is ticking, or no, it's a whole bunch of men in our age group that are available.
Well,
that
they are.
that is he's in his 50s. They don't go date below 40 or really 37. So that whole myth of hit the wall, that's a myth, honey. But it was a habit. It wasn't because you get to an age and it's few minute clocks ticking. I already have my kids and I have my grandkids. It was a habit that I realized about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people go throughout their whole life without acknowledging some of their habits. I would say bad habits that they could have easily changed if they were actually honest with themselves.
I'm one of those. I'm one of those because the truth of the matter is you talk about boundaries and here at your 20s, a lot of times you never even think of such a thing. You really you think that is kind of understood, but it's not understood if you don't articulate it.
Right.
And my therapist said we teach people how to treat us. Well, I didn't know that in my I didn't know that in my 20s,
Yeah, I mean, it's like, right. I mean, I knew I wanted to be treated nice. I knew I wanted nice things. I wanted you to be a gentleman, but it's deeper than that. It's so deeper. Who was it? Kosher clinician. He was like cerebral. He was like, you're cerebral thinking, because I think he's a psychologist. But
He
it's so
is.
much, yeah, it's so much, and it's deeper than that superficial because we're operating on a superficial, especially at a young age. And if you are not taught or if it's not brought to your attention, you're going to keep kind of on certain things act on a superficial level. You
I
understand
do.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
I do.
And then it becomes a habit. And when you are older, you are able to easily recognize it. You just know something is wrong. Like
Right.
I didn't know that it was a boundary thing, but I knew something wasn't right.
It's funny because on my profile, I wrote in, I said, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know what I'm not looking for.
Yes,
I know what I'm not.
that's what, yes. And that's a great start.
I said, I know what I'm not looking for.
Right.
And so, what the phone? Okay, I agree with him to an extent. I believe that there is such a thing as hit the wall. I don't think
Well,
it
you
to the
can hit the wall at 21.
but I don't,
And
and I think what he's talking about, and I have to agree with availability because I've said it before. I've always, I'm not as vain now because things ain't the way it was. But in my 20s, I was vain, and you couldn't convince me. Could not
why are you
convince
not
me. I
vain
said,
now, TJ?
huh?
I'm vain. I'm gonna be vain till I
But
die.
what I'm saying is, you couldn't have convinced me when I was ready to pick a man to be in my life that they weren't be plentiful. I'm not saying there were none there, but not as many, largely because my availability or accessibility to them was different because you're not out in the clubs like your 20s and your 30s. I wasn't. So
Well,
my
but what do you
opportunities
mean
to meet them.
plentiful? Because
Huh.
just because you're 21, that you don't have plenty full of options to choose for a husband. Who I don't, and that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, it is a myth. Why do somebody in their 20s why you think you have a whole lot of options?
Well, I always knew I did.
No. I'm generalizing it.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, because if okay, so let's just say they answer that with that question, with that answer. You know, what options did you have, and did you exercise those options, and how was that going for you?
Well, you know what? I think let's twist it. I mean, not twist it, but let me put it like this. I had more attention in my 20s
Yeah.
and 30s, but I'm not sure how much of that attention would have been men that were suitable to
Thank you.
be married.
See,
So
and
I would
that,
definitely,
yes, and that's the truth, because when you are younger, the attention is, it could be plentiful,
mm,
because a grown man, let's just, well, because you now, when you say, I'm using 21, you have your peers
mhm.
giving you attention, right? You have probably somebody in their 30s giving you attention. 40 giving 20-year-old attention, yes. And then I start looking at them.
I used to think that was gross. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and
I
then
do.
but when you become older, you still get attention, but it is packaged differently. And a lot of
Very
women
much
don't
so.
know that, because they don't know how to tap into that. They don't know how to transition into that. There are some
True.
men who transition into showing women attention differently than they did when they were in their 20s and their 30s.
True.
So hitting a wall is how you treat yourself inside. That's your health, that's your mental state. And then on the outside, how do you present yourself? Have you worked on yourself? So have you
Mhm.
evolved to a better you? And if you have not, yeah, you hit the wall.
Well, and it's interesting because I will say I'm definitely not the same person now than I was, not even just 10. We had way more options nice and well, yeah.
I think
Mhm.
they believed in chivalry in the 90s. Like, you actually dated.
Listen, and I've talked about this before. And shout out to Matthew because again, Matthew was my daughter's first boyfriend in 2011. He courted my daughter. The first date came and called on her. That's an old school phrase. Called on her, brought her a rose, brought her mother a plant. Miss TJ, what time would you want me to have her home?
You was raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was raised right. Mil- Military family though.
Oh, okay.
Father was a colonel in the Air Force. You understand me? And
Where's
but
he from?
even
He's from Texas, or
well, no, this was when we were still in Virginia
okay.
because
It's
we were
something
in
about
Virginia.
Southern. It's that Southern hospitality is real.
But here's the thing: shout out to my son in love. My son in love. His parents have been married for over 40 years.
Okay.
A gentleman from day one
That
to
plays a
now.
part too, because he's seen it. He's seen it growing up. Not saying if you don't see it, you can't have it, but sometimes it just comes naturally. So the
So
wall
the
is
wall
about
is
to
about your eggs.
really okay.
Okay.
Honey, I'm still
No,
fertile. Don't blame.
I'm not.
But you ain't mad about it.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Like, why?
Yeah.
And that's, and I'm not getting on what the funk, because that's how society see women, and that's sexist and misogynistic in its own. And I don't think men can help it. One thing I do appreciate about the judge, he says, I yes, I'm a sexist, yes, I'm misogynistic. To whereas men, especially young guys or even older guys, they deny it. But I'm not valued by my ovaries. That don't determine if I hit the wall or not. And that's why I don't like that. But I get what he's saying.
Yeah. So in other words, your options shrink as you get older as far as looking for me. I will say yes. I will say yes because again, by the time you're in your 40s, hopefully men are looking for the same things that you're looking for. But
Mhm.
just because they're looking for it don't mean that you're going to have an opportunity to find them as many because a lot of times, particularly by the time you get to 40s, many men are already married or
Yeah,
have
you
been
do have
married at least once.
yes. Yeah. Right. That is the obstacle, I would say, more than anything. It's not
Mhm.
because I'm 45. It's because Mr. Big was married twice.
And don't want to do it again, maybe. Maybe.
He wants to, but he's cautious as
Absolutely.
hell. And he's military. God. So then it's like A type, um, and we are total opposites. And for me, sometimes you need a piece of me, a person like me, but I need a person like him that's ability, but whatever. But I'm just saying, yeah. So I meet men who are my age or older, they've been married already or they are married. So that's the obstacle, yes. But that doesn't mean I hit the wall. It's just that when you are older, you do tend to settle down. But and then too, I look at it, I've had long term, I never was married. I had, and if I was, I said I would have been divorced, but I've had long term relationships. And I see people who are married and who were divorced. It's not about, it's really more business than anything. It's work. So it's
It's interesting, and I've shared this. I when I think about it, I only had very few long-term relationships. Like one was like 4 years, and my daughter's father, when we were married, but that was not very long.
my longest was
So
10 years.
see,
That was
and I
my
have
father. We was together for 5
hmm
before he was born, 5 after. We met when I was 17 going on 18. We had a ball. But the fact is that we were so young. We
hmm
were in love and you don't know how to nurture a relationship properly, right?
you
And
don't.
and it's like, but as a man, you do need your women to do certain things. But then if I'm young, on top of that, yeah, I had my son and that means I had 2 kids, but I'm still young. It was just like a battle. If me and him would have met when I was, let's say, even 27 or 30, we probably would have done, probably we would have ended up being in a marriage. But yeah, but that was 10 years. Um, I was in a relationship probably for 5 years with somebody after that. But I didn't have a lot of boyfriends because when I'm in a relationship, it does tend to be long term. Even with this thing with Mr. Biggs, that's kind of drawn out. We're more friends than anything. It may not even blossom into a marriage, but
Mhm.
we're still there for each other. So
I love when you say Mr. Big because I'm so on this new. I'm sorry, this new Sex in the City and just like that because see, I'm in their age group.
did you see the latest episode this week?
No, I might see it
You
afterwards.
have to watch it because, honey, even in death, it's the fact that you still don't know everything about a man. So you have to watch it. You have to watch it. And that's what I can't relate. I could relate to Harlem and Sex in the City, and I can't wait for tomorrow's show.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of tend to gravitate a little bit more towards Sex in the City because I've been there, done that. And then even though those women are in their 50s and I'm not yet, but I know that's what I'm looking forward towards as well. But I can still kind of relate more.
Okay, for those of you who are coming in and wondering what Dana is talking about, tomorrow I'm hosting a women's panel. And if you've seen the thumbnail, you'll see because I posted some things in my community page as well as the thumbnail. You have Sex in the City, you have Girlfriends, you have Living Single, you have Harlem that's going on right now. You have and just like that, which is the reboot of Sex in the City. You have did I say Golden Girls?
You said
Waiting
Golden
to Exhale.
Maybe
So
so.
we're gonna unpack all of that tomorrow, including Golden Girls,
And it,
because again, I remember watching it when I was
I
in
mean,
my 20s.
yeah,
Now I'm in my 50s. Okay.
but you know what? One of the things about I don't want to end up like the Golden Girls.
But
I don't want
here's
to
the
end up.
thing though.
I don't want to live with a whole bunch of old women.
But they were married though.
Yeah, at one point, but I don't.
Yes.
And I get and honestly, like that does work for some people. It's a group of women in China, it's some countryside in China, so, and they're not older, they're young, they're in their 20s and their 30s. They booked this big house, like a mansion, and they all live there and they have land, and it's just a group of they're the Golden Girls, but they're in their 20s and their 30s.
See,
But
now I'm not with it in my 20s and my 30s. I can see it in my 60s, 70s, and 80s because I don't want to be, heaven forbid, my husband is gone, but we talked about, death is a part of life. I don't want to be by myself. So if all of us together taking care of each other, I'm not mad at that.
but I have grandkids, so hopefully my kids and grandkids will take care of me. I don't know, but I find now these young girls in their 20s and 30s, it's hard for them to find a husband. it's like, yeah, you have options of attention, but of marriage, a lot of people not getting married. And it's mainly for finance.
And it's very transactional. And we'll talk about that now, because I got to tell you, I am so grateful and happy that my daughter is married and to a
Mhm.
good young man. We told her, when she started dating him, so you can mess it up if you want to, but we invited him to all the holidays. So hopefully you get your mind right. Because we keeping him.
Yeah.
So
Even if it don't work out, we still keep it.
we keeping them. So I said, I hope you get your mind right, because my mother loved him, I loved him, all the family. So we hope she didn't mess it up, and thankfully she didn't. But it's
Right.
funny because she thought the same thing about my husband. She said, I hope my mom don't mess this up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what your daughter thought about you? I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, 'cause you know what? I think our children, and this is people who don't have children have this, your kids see you kind of in your true light, even the true light that you try to deny.
Yes.
And so, because even with me and my daughter, like, it's a lot of things she bring to my attention. I try not to push back because that is her experience. And I
Yes.
don't have a right to tell her, oh, you should not think or feel that way. No, that's what she experienced. And
Yeah.
it's something she bring to my attention. I'm like, damn, I forgot about that. That's right. That did happen. Oh my God, it was a hot mess. And she was kind of there because I had all
And
the
she never
information.
forgot it. You forgot it, but she
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. She was like, oh no, I remember. Like, ooh.
Listen,
I'm
okay,
like,
to
please, I'm
that
trying to
point,
forget it.
me and my daughter were talking, and she brought up a situation when I was on the phone talking with her dad. And she mentioned she said, Mom, I remember you were so mad got off the phone with my dad, and you threw a phone against the door and it shattered. I had forgotten all about that.
She put something up to my attention, and that was with my son's father because they have different fathers.
Hmm.
Um, she was like, I remember when y'all was arguing, and my daughter, she was snippy with her mouth. She was a little fast with her mouth and she a little
Mine too.
smart. And then she said
She
something
get
to
it from her mama.
I know. Yeah. And she was like, you were in the apartment, y'all was arguing. And then I said to him, don't be talking to my mother like that. And then he said to her, shut your mouth up before I smack you or some mess. And she was like, and then you cussed him out. And she was like, oh my God, it was just y'all relationship was so toxic. I was like, and this is just recent. I was just like, I mean, I said we had our moments, but it wasn't that bad. But no, it was toxic. But
Yeah,
we
again,
were in our
we
20s, so I don't, you don't see
we
it.
see it through the lens of adults, but they see it through the lens of children. And and I'm gonna tell you, Dana,
And
there have been
children
a
are more
couple of
honest.
times. Yeah, and there have been a couple of times I done cried, you know,
No,
uh I done cried because, again, you don't mean to hurt your kids, but it
no.
don't mean you don't.
And there's no handbook of being a parent. You would never be the perfect parent. Parents who try to be the perfect parent are the worst parents because you're actually doing more harm than good. And that's the thing, like you don't get it right as a parent. And you have to understand that your children have their own personality. Yes, I raised my kids to be respectable, blah, 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 blah. But
Hmm.
they're still their own individual. That has
Right,
nothing to do with you and how you raised them. When they become adults
right.
and they make certain decisions, it has nothing to do with their upbringing a lot of times.
And I'm gonna tell you, it's interesting. We had since we are combined families now with my husband, his kids, and
How old
grandkids,
are his
because,
kids?
huh?
How old are his kids?
His oldest daughter, she's I think 32, and she's married with 3 kids.
Okay.
And when we got together, when we were engaged, she was pregnant with the youngest.
Mm.
So, and then he has a middle daughter that's the same age as my daughter, is 27, and then he has a son that's 20.
Okay.
His oldest daughter is the one that has the children. So we started as a way of combining families, building families, is to start our own traditions. So we would have a tree trimming, where we decorate the Christmas trees and stuff like that. Well, normally it was at our house, but this year my daughter and her husband, they just moved into their first home, so they wanted to host it at their house. And so when we went over there, it was just it's something different when you see your kids like really grown up and doing grown up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went home, I texted him, I said, everything was perfect. I'm so proud of you. So to your point, they are their own people. And sometimes one of the challenges for me is to just say, okay, you are her mother. She is your child, but she's not a child.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
is a mother now. So be
Wait, but
quiet.
when your daughter comes home to visit, and I've kind of found this with my daughter, whether it's at my house or her father's house, they act like not a kid per se, like she'll leave stuff out like she did when she was a teenager. They kind of resort to being in that kid role as far as not picking up after themselves. That's what I do find with my daughter. Even when I go visit her, it's kind of like, and I get it because she has the 4 kids. So it's like, okay, I get to have a break. So I kind of could be my mother's child. I kind of could be one of the kids. But then I'm like, no, because you got too many kids. And so it's like you still got to be the grown up. You still got to, be the parent. But sometimes I do find that even with my son, you act like an adult when you're on your own, but when you come home, you kind of revert back to acting like my child, like you're a minor or something. I kind of
Well,
get
not
that.
so much right now. Now she definitely did it, between the ages of 18 and 23-ish.
Okay.
But that's one of the reasons I really love my son in love, because I think we talk about in these different YouTube spaces about men and their leadership. He was that. And
Okay.
what I mean by that, he was not, you need to do this, he just led by example,
Okay.
with his work ethic, how he, taught. And so I saw my daughter learning and growing from him.
Mhm.
So she took on this, because my daughter's the only child. She's my only child and her father's only child. So spoiled, yeah. And so a lot of times, my son-in-law will have to grow her real. I'm like, you too damn spoiled. You don't realize how blessed you are. So now since she's been with him, she's starting into the real adulting. So she don't really act like that.
Right.
But to your point, a little bit more now since she's a new mom.
Yes. Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's because she just has one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
My daughter
Yes.
has four, and because I mean, and then I get it because you do need a break, and
Yes.
you kind of, especially when you're still young, you kind of want to absorb up all of your youth as any, little pieces that you could grab, especially after you're married and have kids. So, and that's what I'm saying. So, but even when I go down there with my daughter, she's so hands on. She don't let really nobody watch the kids. Like, and I'm just like, okay, you go lay down or something. I got them. So she is very hands on, and I'm like, you have to learn to give yourself a break
Mm-hmm.
because I gave myself breaks.
I
Um,
didn't. I
you
didn't.
didn't?
I
Okay, so
didn't.
my mother, she did not babysit if your child is not potty trained. So
Oh, your mother was hardcore.
yeah, and I had my daughter when I was 16. So I was a teen mom, but her father,
Really?
yeah, her father and his side of the family, like they were very hands-on. So they watched her whether she was potty trained or not. Honey, I still
Mhm.
went out to the clubs, but you have so much energy. Like I was trying to be a teenager or a young person and be a mom. And you
And
have
it's hard.
it's hard, but you have so much energy to do it, to multitask that. But I also
Girl.
had help, but I could not, but it's just, but I was kind of just living kind of a double life. But when you're young like that, you are living a double life because you still can't comprehend motherhood at that young age.
You have
My
a good point. You have a very I remember I had my daughter at 27, but I remember when she was a toddler, I was in graduate school.
Mhm.
I worked 2 jobs and I was in ROTC.
Damn, that's a lot.
I think about, I take care of my granddaughter, a couple of days a week, and I'm like, and I'm exhausted.
Right.
I don't know how I did all that.
That's the perk of being a young parent, young mother, or even a young dad, because you do have that energy. Um, my son, I had him when I was 21,
Mhm.
almost 22. From 16 to 21, it is a big mental difference because I was still young, still wanting to hang out, but I was more nurturing into the motherhood role. And people, that's not too far off, but mentally it's a
It
big
is.
mental growth.
It is. It
21
is.
to even 25, 25 to even 30. It
It
is
is.
a different when you have children at certain stages. So but yeah, and it seemed like the older I got and the more I took parenting more seriously and you become more hands-on, that is a lot of work. And so just to go back to my daughter real quick, she has the four kids, but she a stay-at-home mom. She has to be. Like I can't, you have four children and it's from ages 2 to 8. They're 2 years apart.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the last one, she gave birth by herself in the house in the tub.
What?
Wait, hold on for 1 second. Let me hold on.
Sure. For you all just tuning in, thank you all for coming in to Cocktails and Conversations with Mosaic TJ Randolph. I'm TJ Randolph, and my guest tonight is Dana from The Real Dana. And we're going to continue this conversation tomorrow when I'm hosting a panel, a women's panel with women of different ages and backgrounds, experiences. We're going to be talking about uh Sex in the City, the original and the reboot. We're going to talk about Girlfriends, Waiting to Exhale, the new Harlem that's out. We're going to talk about Living Single, and we even going to talk about Golden Girls, okay? We're going to unpack it all tomorrow.
Okay, I'm back. That was my brother. He never really calls me, so I'm thinking it was something important. But I could tell he was sipping and he was asking me about my fantasy football. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
he was
So
sipping.
yeah. So I guess he thought about me. He was like, let me ask about her fantasy football. I was like, let me call you back because I'm doing a show. But that's why I took it because he never calls. I'm like, maybe it's something important. So yeah, but
It's fun you talk about it because my mom had me and my mom had me at 17 and had my sister at 19.
really.
So literally to your point, it's like she grew, your mom is always mom, but she was growing up while we were growing up.
But her generation though,
Very different.
they were more mature than your generation, way more mature than mine, and it was different. Did she have help from the family?
My grandfather. My
Okay,
grandfather. Because
okay.
again, when you consider the fact she got pregnant at 16 and had
Hmm.
me at 17, so she was still in high school. So she was still at home.
Okay.
Now she got married to my stepfather, I think at 18, and had my sister at 19. But
See, men
yeah, so,
back then they married you if you had kids. Like it's totally different.
yeah.
My parents, they were high school sweethearts. Went off to different colleges. My father went to Wyoming, and my mother went to in North Carolina, Winston Salem. Party her ass off and flunked out. She supposed to be a nurse. He actually went to Wake Forest to be close to my mother, but then he transferred to Wyoming because the football team was better. And
Mhm.
so she flunked out, but then he asked her, "Oh, let's get married." And then she went to Wyoming or whatever, whatever. But they were like 21. They were young, but they were high school sweethearts. And so even and they got the ghetto divorce where you're still married even though you've been separated for over 30 years.
That's what my mom and stepdad for a long time. He
Yeah.
said to
And
get a
so
divorce.
right. And I think, yeah, they're 67. So they're not in your generation. If you're
No,
67,
they're boomers. They're
right,
baby
they're
boomers.
boomers. Yeah, because they were born in 54.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, but even with them, and then okay, so and I was born in 76, and that was the sexual revolution and everything. Like my parents still party, but it was a family unit to where you had the family and they were young, so they could work, party. We there, the kids, but then my grandmother, the grandparents were still there. It was more of a family unit, but
Right.
their relationship didn't last because just like any young relationship, infidelity on both sides. It was just a hot mess, but they're better apart. But yeah, I mean, there are perks to having children young, but I think I'm always a proponent of waiting when you're older. And I always go with that age 30 mark, whether it's 3 years before or 3 years around the age 30 mark for me.
And it's so funny. We'll talk about that tomorrow because you know that there's this school of thought that when women get into their 30s, as far as having children and et cetera, et cetera. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. because I was just talking to my daughter today, and I think about many of my friends that I went to high school and college with. Many of them wanted to be married and wanted to have children, but many of them didn't. And I was
They
thinking,
when they got their careers.
yes.
Mhm.
And I was thinking that because she's my only child, I was thinking that in as much as I didn't do it the right way and wasn't playing and being, reckless or whatever, but if I didn't have her, I would be one of my friends that didn't have kids either.
But I think that's, and I think we get, it's always harder for a woman in a sense to, we always, it's like we have to choose, and I don't think we have to choose. It's nothing wrong with you wanting a career and enjoying yourself, and then wanting children, well, getting married and wanting children. It's, there's nothing wrong with having a baby at 35. You're
If you
actually,
can.
well, you could. If you're, if some women can't have kids when they're 20. Like if you have fibroids, if you have like a medical condition, that's one thing. But for the most part, yes, you can conceive easily at 35. Is you have to look at your health. A lot of young women now, they are freezing their eggs, and I don't have a problem with that.
I don't
Um,
either.
so, and I don't know why people think you're 35, it's hard for you to conceive. It's not. You have to look at your body, your health. If you can't conceive at 35, you couldn't conceive because something was wrong. Something was probably wrong with you at 25 and you just didn't know. You probably was on birth control. That could have ruined something.
It's
Um,
Erica. Erica, she's growing people real right here, saying had a baby easy at 33 and 37 with fibroids. She's growing y'all real tonight.
Thank you. And also being a black woman and the way we are treated in the medical industry. Mind you, I'm a massage therapist. I'm in the medical industry. I'm part of the health and wellness, but we are not treated fairly when it comes to fibroids. It's so many things that you could do. If you have a fibroids issue, that's not the death of you not having children. There are ways that you could get it removed or to eliminate them or still have children. And it seemed like that information is just starting to be relevant to, whereas for decades before we didn't have access to that information, and even now it's we're, I feel as though we're still not where we need to be as black women when it comes to health and even our mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people put, first of all, pressure on women overall, but when it comes to black women, I'm just tired of us getting our backs kicked in.
Hmm.
And I'm just going to leave it as that for right now.
I understand both sides of it. And the reason why I say that is because I knew that at some point I wanted to be married and have children. I knew that. But I also knew that I wanted to pursue my career. And largely, it wasn't just my mother pushing me to do it, it was my grandfather pushing me to do it. My grandfather said, baby, baby, you get your education, stand on your own 2 feet, a man will be there. So again, my grandfather was born in 1910, telling me to do that.
Well, why do you so and this is why this is why I love Judge Brown, and this is why I love history. When you look at college enrollment from your grandfather's 1910, let's say
Mm-hmm.
to 1976, right? The year I was born. Matter of fact, let's say to 1965. Um, the judge put this to my attention. There were more black people enrolled in UCLA from the 30s, let's say up until the 70s, than it is today. There were
Mm.
more black people enrolled, women and men, who were highly educated. We always pursued higher education, not just the men, but the women. Women were always professionals. They always worked. They loved to work. They were married. When they had children, they knew they had to take care of their kids. And then when the kids probably was a little bit older, they probably went back to work, or they probably had a family business. That's, being a career woman is not unknown when we talk about in the black family unit.
Right.
Today, you have to work, whether because you are a single parent, because the marriage rate is low, but let's just say you are married, and let's just take race out of it. A lot of young people, that's why they're going into STEM, because that's where the high paying jobs are. When you look at the economy, everything costs so much. You want to live in a nice neighborhood, but that costs money. So you have to have two incomes coming in. You have to.
Yeah.
Long are the days gone after World War II. You come home and you buy a home in the suburbs and you could be a stay-at-home wife. Some people could do it, but you have to have two incomes coming in.
One of the things I will say though, in addition to that, yes, women, because I was saying that a lot of times back in the early days, women were pushed to go to school and men were pushed to go to work.
That's yeah. That was also in the Monahan report too. Yeah.
But
Um,
here's the thing though, even though we had educated women, because we've always had educated women. Case in point, when we think about other hidden figures, educated women, the difference is we did not, when I say we, women, we did not make our education make us seem like we were better than our men.
no,
Some, and we do that now.
it was a working unit.
Yes, yes. The difference is not the education. The
Right.
difference is
It's
how
their
we as
attitude.
women viewed the education
Yeah,
and how our attitudes about education made us think that
definitely.
we were better than our men. Thus, men like my husband thinking that I would not be interested in a blue collar truck driver.
Yeah, and it's like, why not? A lot of times blue collar make more money than white collar.
Honey, I'm just gonna leave that right there.
Right. So, but you're absolutely right. Is they didn't think they were better. When you look at a Fannie Lou Hamer, when you look at Ida B. Wells, you know, they were married, but on the top of their list, when there was always black man, the head of household, the black family, because you don't have anything if he's not the head. You know,
Speak
yes,
on it.
women's rights and all that, blah blah blah, but it was all about the family unit. So, but they knew the family unit, the man was the head of the household. So, and I'm actually going to do an upload on this. It's a initiative in Georgia where they're going to be giving, I think, 500 black women $850 a month for 2 years.
I think I heard about that. What is that? What's that about?
So it's not a state government program. Excuse me. It's that champagne. It's they actually started a fundraiser and they raised close to 90 was it or 44 million, and it's private companies that are that invested money that are sponsoring this initiative pilot program, and they're going to start with a small district in Atlanta,
Mm,
and they're going to pick 500 women, I guess, who are living below the poverty line or at the poverty line. Of course, they're head of households, and give them $850 a month and see their progress if that helps. And I get
mm.
and I'm not against that because majority of us, when we talk about the black community, even though we really don't have a community, but when we talk about black communities, it's ran by the head of household is the woman and she has children. So
Yes,
you have
yes.
that extra, when you have a child, that's the extra mouth to feed. You need money. So I'm not against that. But where is the initiative program for the black men? Because their programs, they need programs. Their programs may look different, but they need initiatives and programs, private funding for different things as
Absolutely.
well. And you don't see that. That's the difference between now and then, to
And
where,
also, let's talk about the fact that there are some black fathers who are the primary parent. Where are the programs for those?
yes. Like, are you going to include them with,
Mhm.
why not include them? Now, it
Right.
is said that even, yes, men do make more money than women. Black men, the numbers show they do make more money than black women. Um, but still, when you look at the plight of just black people, we are below when it comes to wealth, family wealth, generational wealth, income wealth. We are below immigrants, and we're about to be
Mm.
below illegal immigrants. You see what I'm saying? So our population have not increased. Our population stayed at 13% since the 1940s. That was by design. Our income and our family wealth decreased throughout the
Yep.
decades. So why is that? And so where are the programs for the men?
There aren't any.
And let me just correlate to what we were just talking about. So when we talk about the women of yesteryear, those women who were educated, who did work, but their attitude towards the men, towards their man, towards their husband or whatever was totally different than it is now. It was about a unit, not about just one gender. It was about us as a people, and that's what's missing right now.
And we recognize, again, to your point, and I'm just reiterating, that no matter what I'm doing outside of the home, when I come in this home, my husband is the head of household,
Right.
and what he says goes.
Right.
I don't
Now,
care how many degrees I got.
oh yeah, definitely. Because I'm not changing no tire. I don't know how, and I don't want to know how. And I'm just using that as like a superficial example, but um
Yeah, absolutely.
and so just going back to quickly to like these programs, a program for men, particularly young black men, or even older black men and black boys, it will look different than it is for women. But where are there? There aren't any. So I don't have a problem with these initiatives for black women, but you cannot exclude black men, and they are intentionally doing it. And I'm not going to kick the backs in of the black women who are helping to create these initiatives for black women. They're reaching out to the private sector because that they the
Mhm.
ones with the money, not the government.
Right, right.
What I say is you need the black men, professional men who have access, just like these black women do, to the private sector to do the same.
I would agree.
Because I I can't start a program for men. I'm not a man. I don't know what you need. You know what
Ooh,
you need.
that's right. That's right. That's right. Listen, let me look at some comments. Says, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now you speak in my life. Yes, Uncle Stu, because he raised his daughter.
Oh, he did.
Um, mhm. Single father. These programs are keeping. Yes, that's absolutely right. And thank you, Uncle Stu. Shout out to Big Bad Bull and Uncle Stu for your cash app. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we're gonna have to wrap up. You know why? I'm starting to feel tipsy.
Yeah, honey. I just poured the rest of this. I have this left. That this was good. This size was good. The other night
Yeah.
I had a tall bottle of Bellini. I blame it on Lauren. It's Lauren's fault. Lauren
Yes.
is lucky.
Yes, absolutely. I have I
Who's
had
gonna?
this field, and so
Oh,
I've been refilling. So yeah, it's time.
oh
It's
yeah,
yeah.
you have more than me. Who's going to be on the show tomorrow?
Well, it's a surprise. I will. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell y'all. Okay, so we got you, Lauren, Courtney, Lucky, Melissa Berrien, and a young lady named I don't know her name, but she's a young YouTuber starting it's real talk therapy, I believe. So
Okay.
what I wanted to do was to have women who have different experiences, different age groups.
Hmm.
Some may be married and or divorced. Some may have children, may not have children. Some may be, I think we got maybe either, I think we got got a 20-year-old, a couple of early 30s, mid to late 30s, 40s, and 50s. So, again, talking about all these different shows and find the common theme and the common narratives and how we can apply and how we relate to them.
Okay, that's
Because I
fine.
will honestly say I can relate. That's one of the reasons I know some people really didn't like Sex and the City and just like that, but I did because
I
I
did.
did.
I didn't like the way they look like they aged badly, and that camera makeup, that TV makeup didn't really help too much. But
No,
I like the content. But let me just, and I guess I'll go in detail tomorrow. But why Courtney made me cry?
Courtney,
Yes, she did, honey.
Courtney Michelle,
Hmm.
Courtney Michelle, what you?
I
She
don't,
made
I
you
don't know
cry.
if she's still here.
She
Yes, she did.
here.
Maybe I'll save it for tomorrow. And yes, Courtney, you made me cry. Because Miss Thing, I was not feeling her when she first was like on these YouTube streets with Lapeef because she was just too pro KC. And I was like, honey, She too much of a pick me. And then that little heifer did a video and had my ass in fucking tears. Excuse me, say the F word. Oh, I'm tipsy.
Okay, so now I'm all like, what y'all talking about? What y'all talking?
Had
Yeah, we
me
got
in tears, honey. And that's what
we
I was
got
like. That's what I was like. I
tomorrow.
like Courtney. I love Courtney. Love Courtney.
I can't wait. So listen, y'all need to be prepared for tomorrow. We are talking all things love, marriage, sex in the city, aging gracefully and some not so much. So get your cocktails, your cosmopolitans, your sex in the not sex, but your sex on the beach cocktails, your apple teenies, martinis, lemon drops, all that for
Champagne.
tomorrow. Yes,
Because I do
champagne, also known as champagne. So get it all ready for tomorrow because we gonna do it. I'm so excited.
She said,
Courtney
"What?"
said,
I'm gonna go and I'll go in details tomorrow, Courtney.
she said,
Yeah,
what I do?
but it's like she had me in tears. I was like, "That damn Courtney."
And see, listen, if she had you in tears, I really gotta know because see, you know, you ain't no joke. I'm like, so if Dana was in tears, I
Yeah,
need to know
that's how.
what's up.
Because somebody DM me, and Instagram was like, "Well, what do you think about Courtney?" I was just like, "Oh, she all right." I said, listen, I don't know her, I don't dislike her, but she's to me, she come off as a pick Misha, but whatever, she seemed nice." And then he was like, "Well, just check this out." And I checked it out. And it's somebody I don't know on Instagram. He just DM me, and I was like, "No, I like her now. I like her," but she had me in tears, honey. Had me in tears. That's why I was like, that damn Courtney.
So thank you to all the real Dana subscribers that came over and listening to the conversation. And if you're so inclined, I would greatly appreciate you subscribing to my channel. But again, shout out to those who helped me get an early Christmas gift by helping me to reach 1,000 subscribers. I'm actually over 1,000 subscribers now. And see, one of the reasons we have to cut this short because I feel that I'm starting to slur my words. So it's time for me to.
This is the time, like, if I was over your house, TJ, we be talking some deep stuff. So yes, this is the time to like just relax on a Monday night.
Yes. Wait a minute. Let's say, wait a minute. Yes. Yes.
Yes, you always doing something.
So thank you all for tuning in and check us out tomorrow. Thank you. And y'all have a safe evening. Hopefully y'all not drinking and driving.
Yeah, no,
No,
don't.
no. Because we're drinking in the comforts of our own homes. And I'm going from my office to my bed.
See, she's
So y'all
avoiding.
have a good evening and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Thank you.